Ευχαριστώ κύριε Ζεφυρίου. Καλησπέρα σε όλους. Good evening everyone. Ευχαριστώ που πήρατε την ώρα να έρθετε απόψε μαζί μας. Thank you for taking the time to come here tonight. Όπως όλοι ξέρετε, τα ελληνικά μου είναι καλά, αλλά αυτά που έχω γράψει δεν είναι όλα στα ελληνικά, δυστυχώς είναι όλα στα αγγλικά. Οπότε, όποιος έχει ερωτήσεις να μας κάνει στα ελληνικά όταν τελειώσουμε να μιλάμε για τα θέματα, θα δοκιμάσω όσο καλύτερα μπορώ να δώσω απαντήσεις στα ελληνικά. Ευχαριστώ. As we have said, there's two topics of discussion this evening. I will start, followed by our Treasurer Alexi, then our First Vice President Alexandros, who will speak about our building infrastructures. In early December, we received a letter from the bank dated November 24th. It was advising us, and I quote, "The bank is prepared at the present time to continue providing credit on the terms and conditions of the commitment letter, subject to compliance with all the terms and conditions of the commitment letter, and provided there is no further deterioration in any of the financial conditions." At that time, we were almost $200,000 owing on our $250,000 line of credit. Thankfully, our bank had not yet seen our last quarter financials for 2022, which were decent due to increased banking business. A bit of history. In late 2021, Treasurer Tony Georgiou and I, as President, signed a commitment letter with the bank agreeing to keep our debt-to-income ratio at 1.3 to 1. COVID restrictions were lifting.
Try that next one.
COVID restrictions were lifting, and we had survived financially. We were in a position to sign the letter the bank required us to sign, but I stress the word required. We had no choice. When we received this recent bank letter in early December, we were surprised. We knew the negative number being shown was not as bad as they stated. We had a very good November and December in the banquet center. We thus delayed the meeting until February. I arranged to meet privately with the bank as a prelude to our full meeting. I wanted the bank to know who we were as a community and as a board of directors. In order to properly prepare for this meeting, I had to go back a few years to educate myself fully on bank matters. What I'm about to tell you in absolutely no way is meant to disparage or otherwise reflect on the board of directors at that time. That is not the way we work and does absolutely no good. It is strictly for historical concept, nothing more. What I looked into showed me that in 2013, 10 years ago, the board signed a new mortgage with our bank that indebted our community to the amount of $1.365 million. With this new mortgage, the bank lent our community an additional $761,000 in 2013. The interest rate went from prime plus 3 to prime plus 6. To my knowledge, there was no General Assembly called. If you go by the exact language of our bylaws, none was required. The only time a GA needs to be called for additional borrowing is when the board is borrowing additional monies and securing a previously unsecured property. That, however, should not make it okay to not properly inform members before doing so. As I've said before, full transparency is always the best option. That being said, this is the reason we're here today. I want to be fully transparent with you regarding our current situation. I do not want you to be surprised if after you hear what we have to say, and after Alexander's presentation, we need to go to the bank and borrow. My personal one-on-one meeting with the bank went very well. It lasted about an hour and a half, after which the relationship changed immediately. By telling them what I did, there was once again a level of comfort and trust established. Alexi will elaborate further when he gives his presentation as treasurer. I wanted to ensure that everything we spoke about at that meeting was documented, so I told our account manager I would follow up our meeting with a detailed letter, and I did. That letter was 4 pages long, and nothing we discussed was left out. He acknowledged receipt. We spoke about the COVID years, the lack of a full Greek fest, no gold plate for 3 years, COVID church and banquet center closings, just to name a few. By doing this, I spoke directly as to why we were in the situation we were in. I would be happy to share this letter electronically with anyone that wishes to see it. The follow-up meeting with him, our executive, and his boss from the bank the following week here at the HCO was even better. We gave them the full tour of our church and center. They met Father Alex, and we spoke at length about our banking relationship. No guarantees, but the door was left open to further borrowing should it be required. This is something that we never could have even dreamt of when we received their original letter. My personal meeting and our follow-up meeting here at HCO with them and our executive did what we had intended it to do. However, we all need to realize that our church community cannot continue without more financial participation from its membership. The current membership structure cannot continue. We need to move to a monthly stewardship program. I know that there are many of our people out there now that have not only the lifestyle, but also the ability to contribute more to their church community, but they do not. I also know that there are many that do not have that ability, but contribute what they can. We cannot ask any more of these people. There is also a small handful of people and businesses that we approach for help, and that always give money and services when asked. We cannot expect them to continue giving when others do not. We cannot continue to go to the same groups all the time. We cannot survive this way. It does not matter who the president is or who serves on the board. The current model is not sustainable any longer, but that will be an agenda topic for the next General Assembly, not here tonight. It is easy to serve when times are good. We have not had elections for 6 years if there have not been enough people willing to put their names forward. People do not wish to serve knowing the difficulties we face and the immense amount of time required. That is indeed unfortunate. I am not perfect. I have admittedly made mistakes and try to learn from them. Most of these mistakes are born out of passion. I am passionate about our church community and will always do what I feel is in our church community's best interest, not in any one group's or any one individual's interests. More time is spent on community affairs than is spent on full-time jobs. Family time is greatly sacrificed. Thankfully, all of our families understand we do it willingly. Without the financial support required, however, all these sacrifices mean nothing. I am proud to be the president of the community. I am even prouder and very grateful to be serving as president with some of our younger members who, despite difficult times, have stepped forward to join the board. They deserve our respect and my recognition. Alexander Reclitas, first vice president, Alexei Sweetie, treasurer, Andreas Codignari, secretary, board members Anastasia Sakiminas, AJ Palladino, Adori Vasiliadi, they all deserve credit. Alexander and Andreas in particular spend countless hours working on your behalf. They are the future of our church community. They are also the older guys like myself and John Sibunas and the middle group of Dimitri Agopoulos and George Zavalis. I am proud and honored to serve with all of them. I have to also mention that I've heard some things since my email announcing this meeting that are cause for concern because they're simply not true. It's just more of the same uneducated talk. People say we're spending money when we have no money to spend and we are asking for your help. We are not. They talk about the banquet center renovations. The renovations were done using government grant monies that had to be spent for this purpose. Little to no HCO monies were used. People have said we hired a banquet manager when we do not have money to do so. We have not. Peter has worked with us the last 7 months as a volunteer and is doing an outstanding job. People say we are replacing the church, the windows in the church and making other repairs to the church when we have no money. We are not. The windows are being paid for largely by Philoptopas, with the rest coming from the Diamandakos Trust. The church ceiling repairs and repainting are all paid for with a generous donation in full by AHEPA. The new carpets and labor to install these carpets are also being donated, so all the church work is being done at zero cost to our community. Please do not talk about things you know nothing about. It's discouraging to those of us that serve if you do not know. Ask. We'll gladly answer your questions. Rest assured we're spending monies prudently. We have cut upwards of $120,000 in salaries and benefits since November of 2021. No replacements were hired. We bring in agency staff as required. We watch our payables every day, slowly releasing non-essential bills for payment in order to protect cash flow on our line of credit. In some cases, I have even personally contacted suppliers to let them know they will be paid, but it will take a little extra time. Our total fixed yearly expenses, taxes, gas, hydro, water, insurance, snow removal, summer landscaping, just to name some of the largest, most important, are in the neighborhood of $550,000 a year. Do people in our community actually realize this? That does not include salaries, and for the record, for those that like to complain about salaries. We have not given any of our staff pay increases in many years. In this room today, we have some tables set up with machines to take donations. Hopefully after what you have heard today from me and what you will hear from Alexei and Alexander, you will do what you can to assist before you leave. I am asking you to please visit one of those tables. Do whatever you can to assist not us personally, but our church community. You can also donate online using our smartphones and devices. I am not expecting the level of substantial financial support today that we will require. At the very least, some substantial help would be appreciated from all of you prior to us going to the bank for any additional assistance we require. Hopefully you spread today's message to others that you know that can also offer assistance. Full transparency today, no hidden agendas. Going to the bank may be necessary as our final option. There is no guarantee they will agree. That's the reason I called this meeting today. We will not move or take monies from any of the segregated funds we've protected to put into our operating account. That is not ethical, and I have personally pledged that this will never again happen. Before Alexei and Alexander speak, I need to say that we cannot continue to rely on Coldplay and Greek Fest for the funds required to maintain our church community. That became very evident during COVID. Proceeds from these events should be used for purposes other than just paying our bills. After you hear Alexander in particular, you'll find out even more about why we asked you to come here tonight. I cannot stress enough the difficult situation we find ourselves in. Please hold your questions until the end of our presentations. We will answer all questions relevant to the two topics on tonight's agenda. I would be happy to respond to any of your questions in Greek if some of you require me to do so. Please limit your questions only to these topics. Questions not related to these topics can be asked at the next General Assembly in a little over 2 months' time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony. Everybody hear me? Good evening, everyone. My name is Alexei. I'm serving as treasurer on our current board of directors, and we truly want to thank everyone who took the time to come out tonight, and for those tuning in online as well, as we work through the challenges facing our community. I just want to build quickly on what Tony said regarding the bank situation. This letter and covenant agreement with the bank was born out of decreased business in the banquet center and very little attendance in church. These were due to COVID restrictions and situations out of our control. In November and December of 2022, thanks to these gentlemen up here and the management of Peter Kosivas and Many Dimas, along with other people and members of our community, the banquet center did incredibly well with a gross profit of $67,000, netting $8,300 for the community. It was also during this time that we were obligated to provide our financial statements to be submitted to Scotiabank on a quarterly basis. The agreement stated that our debt service coverage ratio, meaning our net operating income, over our debt obligations must not fall under 1.3 to 1. As our income continued to diminish in 2022, our June 2022 statements showed that we fell to a negative 2.63 to 1. This was a point of concern for the bank as we were in breach of the agreement. They advised us that they are prepared at the present time to continue providing credit on the terms and conditions of the commitment letter, as Tony mentioned, and provided there's no further deterioration in any of the financial conditions. At that time, they had not seen our latest financial statements, which we then provided, and when Tony met with the client relationship manager this past month, our debt service ratio was negative 0.54 to 1. This was a great improvement, and we were able to show our representatives from Scotia and our community, show the representatives from Scotia our community, walk them through our facilities, and they were very receptive to our situation. We laid out our plan going forward, and it's safe to say we are not a risk in their eyes or on their books. What matters is our revenue, and all that matters to the bank is that we get to a place where we can generate enough revenue and positive cash flow to cover our debt obligations. So I just want to take a moment to frame up our current financial picture and a brief outlook for the year. Currently we budgeted for almost $560,000 of business in the banquet hall this year. The This is a conservative figure and based on currently booked business, but there's lots of potential for more business to be booked over the course of the year. If we book no further business in the banquet center, using the current management model we have, we're projecting a net profit of $140,000. Our current line of credit, so the line of credit attached to the main account, is sitting right now at negative $166,000, with approximately $100,000 of unpaid invoices that we are working diligently to cash flow manage and ensure we do not breach the line of credit while keeping the amount we're borrowing into that line of credit relatively stable, further to Tony's point. The current mortgage is $270,000 at a 6.95% interest rate. Lastly, we are in the final stages of providing a full budget to our members. The executive and other members of our board have been working hard to finalize and will be provided at the end of March. The community as a whole will profit $180,000 this year. So that's just a brief outlook and a brief picture, and to let everybody know exactly where we stand for our financial picture. I'll now hand it off to Alex to speak to the situation we're facing structurally with the roof. Thank you for your time.
I'll move my cookies. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules and coming this evening. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Alex Riclides, and while I am not busy being the vice president of our church community, my day job is as a project manager for the University of Ottawa. My role in my job is to manage highly technical construction projects that range in the budgets of $150,000 to $100 million. During our current term, I've been managing the implementation of various projects throughout our community, the most recent being to complete an investigative and project management plan for the full replacement of our Hellenic Event Center roof. In late January, our hall experienced a significant amount of water infiltration at 3 areas throughout our hall. 2 of the spots being in our banquet office and community office, and the 3rd being in the foyer near this entrance. Immediately, we took mitigative measures by engaging our roofing contractor to come to the community. They proceeded to shovel snow off the problem areas and took remedial measures inside. At that point, in my opinion, I knew that this was a problematic situation and decided to engage multiple roofing contractors and consultants to review our current site conditions. These meetings took place in February, and all of our contractors confirmed what I had thought. A little technical stuff now. For those of you who do not know, our current roof system is a 30-year, 4-ply, built-up roof system on top of 1 layer of kind of a hard insulation board, and then 6 inches of rigid insulation. Over time, the tar has dried out, causing cracks and leaks, and due to us not consistently completing yearly maintenance due to lack of budget, there are now significant leaks happening in the building. Each time it leaks, it causes the insulation in the system to become wet. This means that the entire roof now needs to be torn out, as it will unfortunately never be able to dry out. Repairing will not work because with so many spots leaking, it is impossible to pinpoint where the water is entering. Water can be entering in one spot and finding its way out 50 feet away. The new system that we have scoped will be to put a new 2-ply system with 6 inches of insulation. The good thing with the 2-ply system is that the next roof replacement we do in the future, we will be able to do what they call a roof recovery project, which will save the community a significant amount of money. What a roof recovery project is at the 15-year mark, we begin yearly inspections. If issues are found, then we roll on a new layer of tar and roofing asphalt, which will then restart the 15-year clock of any potential roofing issues. To keep in mind, if we start budgeting for this today and put $400 a month aside for this future project, 15 years from now we will have $72,000, which will cover most, if not all, of the roof recovery project. So with good planning and budgeting, our community will be much better off in the future. To date, I have tendered this project to Rydell Roofing, Godfrey Roofing, Commercial Roofing Inc., and Raymond Roofing. The bids I have received range from $295,000 and up. In addition, I have engaged Fishburne Sheridan, who are a building envelope consultant and who have provided us with their consulting services in the past. Their fee to complete quality assurance inspections and consultant services through the construction would be $6,063 plus tax. This brings our total high-level construction estimated budget to approximately $370,000. This includes a 10% contingency and taxes. That's all for me.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ κύριε Πρόεδρε, ευχαριστώ όλους σας παιδιά, ευχαριστώ πολύ όλη την εργασία που κάνετε για την εκκλησιά μας, για την κοινότητά μας. Ευχαριστούμε όλους σας που ήρθατε απόψε. Όπως βλέπετε, όλα αυτά γίνονται επειδή περιμένουμε, δυστυχώς, περιμένουμε οι ξένοι πιο πολύ να μας βοηθάνε να κρατήσουμε την εκκλησιά μας και την κοινότητά μας με το Coldplay Dinner και με το πανηγύρι μας. Και μερικοί από εμάς νομίζουμε ότι είμαστε έξυπνοι, χωρίς να δώσουμε τις δωρεές μας, να περιμένουμε από τους ξένους να κρατάμε μια εκκλησία και μια κοινότητα. Τα χρόνια αυτά έχουν περάσει και πρέπει να καταλάβουμε ότι οι καιροί αλλάξανε. Δεν μπορούμε πια να έχουμε εκκλησία και κοινότητα με $350 το χρόνο συνδρομές. Αυτό είναι τελείως απαράδεκτο. Πρέπει, όπως είπε ο κύριος Πρόεδρος, να αλλάξουμε το σύστημα. Ο καθένας να μπορεί να βοηθήσει με τη δυνατότητά του και να κάνουμε αυτό που πρέπει, που το λέει επίσης η Αγία Γραφή, να δίνουμε με τη δυνατότητα που μπορούμε. Γνωρίζω πάρα πολύ κόσμο που δεν έχουν και δίνουν από το ειστέρημά τους. Και αυτοί που έχουν από το περίσσευμά τους δεν δίνουν. Και τα βλέπουμε στα χαρτιά. Πρέπει να βάλουμε το ένα χέρι στην καρδιά, το άλλο χέρι μας λίγο στην τσέπη και να πούμε ότι έχουμε εκκλησία και κοινότητα και πρέπει να την υποστηρίξουμε για το μέλλον, για τα παιδιά μας, για τα εγγόνια μας. Εμείς περάσαν τα χρόνια μας. Θα φύγουμε σε λίγο, φεύγουμε. Κάθε χρόνο έχουμε 40 και 50 κηδείες. Τα παιδιά μας θα μείνουν, τα εγγόνια μας θα μείνουν. Τι θα πάρουν αυτά? Και όταν λέω μερικές φορές ότι μπορεί να κινδυνεύσουμε να κλείσουμε μια μέρα, μερικοί με φωνάζουν τρελό. Φωνάξαν και τον πατέρα μου τρελό στην Βραζιλία και στο Μπουένος Άιρες. Όλα είναι κλειδωμένα. Ο Παπαμιχάλης έφυγε, οι εκκλησίες κλείσανε, οι κοινότητες πεθάνανε. Και ο κόσμος σκόρπισε. Πού? Σε άλλες εκκλησίες, σε άλλες θρησκείες. Γιατί? Διότι δεν έχουμε μάθει να δίνουμε με την καρδιά μας. Αυτή είναι η αλήθεια. Έχουμε εδώ πέρα στο Συμβούλιο μας πολλά νέα παιδιά που εργάζονται και τους βλέπω καθημερινώς. Διότι εγώ ξοδεύω 7 μέρες εδώ πέρα, το ξέρετε περισσότερο από εσάς που περνάτε, εδώ είμαι, μέσα και έξω τρέχω για εσάς, για τον λαό μου. Αλλά αυτά τα παιδιά ξοδεύουν πάρα πολλές ώρες για να κρατήσουν αυτή την κοινότητα και τους λέω, προσέξτε τη δουλειά σας. Μην κινδυνεύσει η εργασία σας, διότι έχετε νέες οικογένειες. Προσέξτε. Γι' αυτό φώναξε ο κύριος Πρόεδρος και το Συμβούλιο αυτή τη συνεδρίαση, Διότι ό,τι κάνουμε, θέλουμε να τα κάνουμε ανοιχτά, χωρίς να είναι τίποτα κρυμμένο. Και όταν πας με το σταυρό στο χέρι, μη φοβάσαι τίποτα. Ο Θεός είναι μαζί σου. Και αυτό είναι που κάνουν και ο Πρόεδρος και το Συμβουλίο μας. Και ευχαριστώ και τον Πρόεδρο και τα νέα μέλη πιο πολύ του Συμβουλίου μας που δίνουν τόσες πολλές ώρες και θυσιάζονται για το καλό της Εκκλησίας μας και της κοινότητάς μας. Εσείς που ήρθατε απόψε, θέλει να πει ότι ενδιαφέρεστε, αγαπάτε την Εκκλησιά σας και την κοινότητά σας. Εγώ περίμενα τουλάχιστον 300, 400, 500 άτομα. Αλλά εσείς τώρα είστε η χοροδία μας, που θα βγει έξω να ψάλει. Να ψάλει και να τραγουδήσει στους συγγενείς και φίλους αυτά που είπαμε και λέμε απόψε. Εάν όλοι μας δεν κάνουμε ό,τι μπορούμε, τα παιδιά μας δεν θα έχουν ούτε εκκλησία, ούτε κοινότητα στο μέλλον. Και μερικοί που πηγαίνω και μιλάω και μου λένε, όταν λέω εγώ στην Αμερική έχουν γίνει αυτά πολλά χρόνια πριν, λένε οι Αμερικάνοι έχουν λεφτά. Δεν είναι σωστό. Πολλές κοινότητες στην Αμερική δεν έχουν ούτε έναν εκατομμυριούχο. Εμείς έχουμε αρκετούς. Και κρατάνε κοινότητα, κρατάνε εκκλησία με 100 οικογένειες. Ό,τι έχουμε εμείς εδώ, έχουν κοινότητες στην Αμερική με 100 οικογένειες. Και αυτό το λέω γιατί η κοινότητα που ήταν ο πατέρας μου έχει 100 οικογένειες ακριβώς. Έχουν κοινοτικό κέντρο, έχουν εκκλησία, έχουν ιερέα, έχουν γραμματέα, ό,τι έχουμε εμείς, έχουν και αυτοί. Και όλοι είναι εργαζόμενοι. Όλοι εργαζόμενοι. Λοιπόν, ξέρουν όμως να δίνουνε. Έχουν μάθει να δίνουνε. Και εμείς πρέπει να μάθουμε να δίνουμε. Κάποιος με ρώτησε έξω στο πάρκινγκ της εκκλησίας, εσύ παπά μας λες να δίνουμε, εσύ δίνεις? Και του είπα, πηγαίνετε στην Αμέλεια, ευχαρίστως, να ρωτήσετε πόσα δίνει ο παπάς, αλλά να ξέρετε, όταν σας πει η Εμέλεια πόσα δίνει ο παπάς, δεν θα δώσει ούτε $1 λιγότερα από ό,τι δίνει ο παπάς. Δεν πήγανε, φοβηθήκανε. Δίνει ο παπάς. Περισσότερα από ό,τι μπορεί να δώσει. Το κάνω με την καρδιά μου, γιατί και αυτή είναι η εκκλησία μου. Αυτό είναι το σπίτι μου, αυτή είναι η κοινότητά μου. Και το ξέρετε πολύ καλά, και μερικοί το βλέπουν, και μερικοί από τους νέους, χιονίζει, έρχομαι στην εκκλησία, θα γίνει λειτουργία, και ξοδεύω 45 λεπτά με 1 ώρα να καθαρίζω τα χιόνια απ' έξω, και φέρνω και ρούχα να αλλάξω γιατί γίνομαι μουσκευα, και μου λένε μερικοί, πάτερ, εσύ, το σπίτι μου είναι. Γιατί όχι εγώ? Τελείωσα να το κάνω σπίτι μου και έρχομαι εδώ και το κάνω στην εκκλησία. Όλοι μας, εάν δώσουμε λίγο από τον εαυτό μας, λίγο από το ειστέρημά μας ή το περίστευμά μας, δεν θα έχουμε κανένα πρόβλημα. Και αυτά που είπε και ο Αλέξης και ο Αλέξανδρος και ο Πρόεδρος, το πανηγύρι μας και το corporate dinner θα τα βάζουμε στην άκρη για να κάνουμε αυτά που χρειαζόμαστε τώρα να κάνουμε και δεν τα έχουμε. Αυτά ήθελα να πω. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Μίλησα μόνο ελληνικά, όλοι οι άλλοι μιλήσανε αγγλικά. Τα παιδιά δυσκολεύονται με την ελληνική γλώσσα, αλλά τους ευχαριστούμε για την αγάπη τους και για το σεβασμό τους. Να είστε καλά.
Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Τώρα ακούσαμε τις δυσκολίες που έχει η κοινότητά μας. We've heard the challenges that we are facing as a community. So the floor now is open for questions. Μπορούμε να ρωτήσουμε από ό,τι ακούσαμε. Τι ερωτήσαμε. Please go to the mic on the floor.
Καλησπέρα. Κάθη Σταυράκος. Νομίζω ότι όλοι αγαπάμε την κοινότητα και δίνουμε από την καρδιά μας. Έχω όμως μια ερώτηση. Ήθελα να ξέρω πόσα λεφτά, από αυτά τα λεφτά, τα δώρα, πόσα μένουν εδώ. Γιατί εγώ θέλω να ξέρω ότι όταν βοηθάω την κοινότητά μου, την κοινότητά μας, ότι μένουν εδώ τα λεφτά. Και αν δεν μένουν όλα εδώ, να βρούμε τρόπο να πληρώσουμε τα χρέα μας χωρίς να χάνουμε λεφτά. So, you may not, you're looking at me like you're not understanding. So, yeah. So, and I don't know very much about this, so correct me if I'm wrong. 15% of our gross income goes to Toronto.
Not true.
So there's an agreement called the Uniform Community something.
Parish regulations.
Yeah. And it says 15%.
No, that's the old one. That's a very old one, and it's a maximum of $40,000 for big communities.
Right. So this is what I read, that it's 15% up to a maximum. Now, I think the date on this was 2019.
Okay. All right, yes. It's 15% or maximum of $40,000.
Right. And
When
so,
you're making $1 million income,
right,
if you give 15%,
right. But
So much.
even if I want to make a gift to our community, or if I want to help pay the bills, if I want to contribute $1,000, I want $1,000 to go to paying those bills. And so, like, if any donations that we make tonight, are those included in the gross income, and will 15% leave our community?
we have
Are you sure?
We told you that we have a maximum of $40,000. So if 15% goes to the archdiocese, that means that $150,000 out of $1 million that we gross
Right.
goes to the archdiocese, and that's not true. Or up to $40,000.
No, but if we're talking $10,000. So $1,500, I mean, we're talking, Alex talked about a consultant that's going to cost $6,000. Well, there is likely $6,000 out of our donations that will go to the archdiocese when it could pay for this consultant.
Can I ask you a question? Mm-hmm. Do you pay taxes?
Yes.
We pay taxes as a community to the archdiocese, and archdiocese pay taxes to the ecumenical patriarchate. We have to do that. How is our archdiocese going to survive? How is the church going to survive?
Well,
We're having the Archbishop is having our theological institute, and the students are going to study there right now for free in order for us to have priests in the future, because we have a big shortage of priests. Where are those monies are going to come from? We're having offices that they prepare our Sunday schools, prepare our Greek schools, prepare so many things, send us books. Those monies have to come from somewhere. And
But
our
they can come
archdioceses do their fundraisings, but because our Archbishop is very smart in finances, we have not been able, for the past 3-4 years, pay the full amount of the $40,000 to our archdiocese. We are right now on what?
So just to clarify what Father is saying, in 2016, we paid the archdiocese nothing. Starting in 2017, when we took over as a board, we paid back that commitment with monthly payments over 3 years. We paid nothing during the COVID year of 2020. We paid a much smaller amount in the post-COVID year of 2021 and 2022, nothing closer to $40,000. I have all the letters that I wrote, I can show them to you, I documented them. And so far this year, we've paid them nothing, and that's a discussion that's going to be had with the Archdiocese. Do we need to pay them something? Absolutely. But the last time we paid the Archdiocese the $40,000, the full $40,000, and is Tony giving you here?
It doesn't matter. It's just that I know that it's bigger communities.
Bottom line, if we want
We are
to
a big
have-
community.
If we want to have
We are a big community.
weddings, if we want to have baptisms, if we want to have sacraments in our church, and get all the appropriate documentation and everything that's required to do that, if we want to have a proper Sunday school and other things that, youth groups and programs and the like, we need the Archdiocese. And if the Archdiocese, look, do I like paying the Archdiocese $30,000-$40,000 a year? Absolutely not. But it's a cost of doing business to reap some of the benefits that the Archdiocese gives to us as a Greek Orthodox community.
All I was going to suggest is that maybe we can pay some of our bills as members sort of directly, as opposed to losing 15% of the donations. It was a suggestion.
We're not losing 15%.
Losing, you keep saying 15%, and it's not 15%.
It's a maximum of $40,000 a year. And as Father has said, if we generate $1 million a year in business, and I'm just throwing that figure out,
Yes.
$1 million a year, if we were paying 15%, that would be the equivalent of $150,000.
Yes, I understand.
15% to a maximum of $40,000 a year.
Right.
And we haven't paid anywhere near that $40,000 for the last 6 years.
Because we haven't had that much of an income.
No, but in fairness, if the Archdiocese wanted to push us to pay that money, we would have had no choice but to pay it.
It was a suggestion.
Or they will remove your priest.
Or
As
they
simple
would-
as that. And they have done it. In Montreal, they have done it, yeah. They have done it in Montreal.
Χαίρετε, καλησπέρα. Γιώργος Σαπουνίδης, in English George Sapounidis, just, but not in Chinese.
You're very good in Chinese, though.
Well, that's a 1-hour conversation. Chao Jujushi. You mentioned that that there might be some, according to the bank, there's a line of credit, etc. That occasionally there might be some more monies that may need to be borrowed for the church community. What are some examples of monies, plural, that would need to be?
The roof replacement, George, we're talking $300,000 to $360,000 to replace the roof.
Okay.
That's basically what we're talking about.
I see.
And potentially, but this will be a decision that will be made down the road if we need to go that route. And this is a big if, the bank is not committed to anything. If the bank agrees to lend us the money that we need for the infrastructure.
For the roof.
For the roof, we could potentially look at maybe rolling what we owe into our line of credit into additional monies on the mortgage and leaving our line of credit for use when we need it. That's not an option that I personally prefer, but if it's a cheaper option and we're paying less interest on a mortgage than we would be on a line of credit, it's certainly something we could pursue. The monies that we are trying to raise are the monies to repair the roof. That's why I called this General Assembly, because I would like to be able to go to the bank and say, you know what, Mr. Bank, our members gave us $100,000 to go towards the replacement of the roof. We need an additional $250,000. That would be a great scenario. Are we going to get to that scenario? I can't answer that question. But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about going to the bank. We need a roof on this building. If we don't get a roof on this building, everything you see here and everything we've done to improve the building, to make it more sellable to clients, to put in better facilities, AV screens, audio systems, just basically making the place look decent, is all for naught, because once water starts coming through, and we can show you a couple of places in the lobby where it's already started coming through again, all of this is going to be destroyed when we start from scratch.
Correct. So one more question. So the roof, the cost of the roof, could that be paid off on a regular basis, or would it be one amount up front?
With the bank, yes, but with the contractors, anyone else, no. There's been no conversation about financing it through one of the vendors or to get to push it out for multiple months or anything like that. It's a substantial amount of money that obviously these vendors aren't willing to carry themselves. So,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, Lori Fagliazzo Trudis. I was just wondering, other than the church and the community, does the church or community have any other assets that we own?
Yes, we do.
We do.
We have the corner property on 1335 Prince of Wales, which we won't get into great discussions about today, but we're moving that project forward using consultants to try to allow for a larger building to be built on that property in order to increase the value, maybe 300-400%. We also have the rental home on Maryland, which basically those are our assets. We have our church, we have our community event center, we have the property that's attached to the church and the event center, we have the corner property, which is the old Warren schoolhouse, and we have the rental house directly behind our property in Maryland.
Okay, just because someone touched on possibly losing our church or community, I'd rather see one of our assets perhaps being sold before we even get to that.
That's not really
Okay,
the topic.
okay, it's okay. I just did because it's on the topic of money, but okay, no problem. I leave that.
Topic of money. I will say, however, that that's a very slippery slope.
Okay,
Because once you start selling off assets to pay bills, that's a very slippery slope you don't want to go down, because what's the end of that slope?
okay.
That's just my personal opinion, but trying to answer your question.
I was just thinking maybe at the house.
That would be something that would require a special general assembly and a very large vote. I think Father would like to say something on that as well.
I know that some people are talking about selling, and I spoke about it in church. We have our synagogue next door. They used to own 7 or 8 homes right next to the synagogue, around the synagogue. And they did exactly what some of you are saying, let's sell. They sold one, they sold another one to pay bills, they sold another one to pay bills, they sold another one. Now they only have one. They need to expand, they can expand. So if we sell, then what? To pay the bills? And then it's going to come a time that we have nothing else to sell. What are we going to do? Sell our community center to keep the church? And then what? We're going to close the church? That's what happens in many parts of the world, guys. That's what happens. And that's what happened in São Paulo, Brazil. And I said it many times in church. And that's what happened in Buenos Aires. And that's what happened in Mar del Plata, Argentina. And in many other cities that I can tell you, you can Google it, and you can see their churches closed. And they had properties. My father was a priest in Florianópolis, Santa Catarina. And they had acres and acres. And you know what? I saw a picture of that church, and it's high-risers all around it. And the church in here like this, because they sold everything around it. And now the church is right there. It's almost like Imiga Mestogala. If any of those buildings collapse, the church like in Scotland. And downtown Toronto, same thing. They have what? Nothing. Just a church. And they can do nothing with it. Thank you.
If I can just add one more thing to selling the properties. Currently, the line of credit that we're using to operate on basically the main account is secured against the property itself and against the 1335 corner property. So, not the church. Yeah, not the church. So just to be clear, when we speak about the line of credit, it's secured against the house and it's secured against the corner property. Yes, as is the mortgage.
Greek or English?
What do you think?
I prefer Greek, I would say.
That's fine.
Yeah?
Go right ahead.
Very good. So, I have a very simple question, first of all.
That's okay.
Introduction, I do introduction. So, η ερώτησή μου είναι πόσα μέλη έχει η κοινότητα.
Amelia, please say. How many actual paid members do we have, Amelia? Households, yes, please. So in total, I think the last time we looked, in total, we had about 507 paid memberships.
Okay. So, αυτά τα μέλη πληρώνουν $25, ας πούμε, το μήνα, $25 per month.
Μερικοί πληρώνουν 25 το μήνα, μερικοί πληρώνουν 50, άλλοι πληρώνουν 100, άλλοι πληρώνουν 200, άλλοι πληρώνουν 50, άλλοι πληρώνουν μια φορά το χρόνο 120.
Okay. Okay. Άρα νομίζω ότι πρέπει να πληρώνουμε λίγο περισσότερο από αυτό. Δηλαδή, εγώ πληρώνω $25 το μήνα. Είμαι μόνος μου, έχω ένα income, δουλεύω στο ταβαγιού, έχω ένα παιδί. Τα 25 μπορώ να τα δώσω, να τα κάνω 40. Και νομίζω όλοι εδώ μέσα μπορούν να τα δώσουν από τα 25 τους να τα κάνουν 40. Γιατί αυτό που χρειάζεται η κοινότητα, γιατί είναι ένα μαγαζί, εγώ το βλέπω καθαρά εμπορικά. Εδώ μιλάμε για έξοδα, έσοδα και έξοδα. Εκτός από το κομμάτι την εκκλησία μας ή την κοινότητά μας. Εδώ είναι ένα μαγαζί. Πρέπει το μαγαζί να βγάλει λεφτά. Δεν θα βγάλει λεφτά με donation σήμερα. Θα πρέπει να έχει μόνιμα έσοδα. Άρα αυτό νομίζω ότι πρέπει να κάνει η κοινότητα. Η δικιά μου συμβουλή είναι αυτό.
Αυτό το έχουμε πει πολλές φορές και το είπα και πάλι απόψε όταν μίλαγα. Για μένα υπάρχουν πολλά προβλήματα. Πρώτον, είναι άνθρωποι οι οποίοι δίνουν όπως εσύ, που δίνεις όσο μπορείς. Είσαι μόνος σου με το γιο σου, έχεις μια δουλειά στο πανεπιστήμιο, βάζεις ένα μεροκάματο και δίνεις ό,τι μπορείς. Εγώ δίνω ό,τι μπορώ και παραπάνω, άλλοι στο Συμβούλιο δίνουν ό,τι μπορούν και παραπάνω, και είναι άλλοι εδώ στην κοινότητα οι οποίοι δίνουν ό,τι μπορούν.
Yeah.
Είναι άλλοι άνθρωποι όμως, οι οποίοι όχι μόνο δεν δίνουν ό,τι μπορούν, αλλά έχουν τη δυνατότητα να δώσουν και τόσα πολλά περισσότερα και δεν δίνουν. Εμείς δίνουμε το παραπάνω. Αυτό είπαμε. Οπότε δεν είναι τα 25 ή τα 30 ή τα 50 δολάρια το μήνα. Ο καθένας μπορεί να δώσει ό,τι θέλει. Αλλά πρέπει ο καθένας να δώσει με τη δυνατότητα που έχει και με την πίστη που έχει. Αυτό ζητάμε. Δεν ζητάμε ούτε περισσότερο ούτε λιγότερο. Και αν κάποιος δεν έχει να δώσει και μας πει ότι πάει στον πάτερ και πει ότι ξέρεις τίποτα πάτερ, θέλω να είμαι μέλος στην κοινότητα, αλλά δεν μπορώ. Δεν μπορώ. Βγάζω $1,000 μέσα σε τέλο ή δεν έχω τα λεφτά να πληρώνω κάθε μήνα.
Αυτό το καταλαβαίνω. Το βλέπω και στο ελληνικό σχολείο. Το οποίο θεωρώ ότι τα $100 που πληρώνουν οι γονείς για κάθε παιδί το χρόνο είναι πάρα πολύ μικρό ποσό. Και αυτό το ξέρουν αυτοί που έρχονται από το Τορόντο, που όταν τους λέω $100 το μήνα και τα $100 το χρόνο, $100 μου λένε το χρόνο, εμείς νομίζαμε το μήνα. Γιατί εκεί στο Τορόντο πληρώνουν χιλιάρικα.
Πόσα παιδιά έχεις στο ελληνικό σχολείο σήμερα,
πρέπει να είμαστε τώρα 125.
Εάν ανεβάσουμε τα λεφτά που χρεώνουμε για το ελληνικό σχολείο
θα μείνουν 60.
Και πρέπει να σκεφτείς ότι τις πρώτες δύο, εσύ το ξέρεις καλύτερα από όλες, τις πρώτες δύο, αλλά αποφεύγουμε λίγο από το θέμα. Εάν αυξήσουμε, μπορεί να έρχονται λιγότερα παιδιά. Αυτό
ναι.
Να μην φεύγουμε όμως από τα θέματα, είπαμε δεν θα φεύγουμε.
Όχι, να μην φεύγουμε. Όχι. Απλά εγώ θεωρώ ότι η λύση είναι ο καθένας να μπορεί να δίνει περισσότερα κάθε μήνα, και θεωρώ επίσης ότι εδώ αυτός ο χώρος πρέπει να βγάζει λεφτά. Δεν ξέρω πώς θα γίνει, δεν μπορώ να το φανταστώ, αλλά σαν συνεδριακό κέντρο, σαν εστιατόριο, δεν ξέρω, κάπως πρέπει να βγάζει λεφτά. Πρέπει η κοινότητα να έχει σταθερό εισόδημα.
Αυτό το κέντρο σήμερα, όπως έχουμε βάλει στα budgets και τα λεφτά που έχουμε σε δώσω, είναι ένα παράδειγμα και μετά θα φύγουμε για να μείνουμε στα θέματα. Την τελευταία εβδομάδα έχουμε νοικιάσει 5 μέρες μονάχα, 5 μέρες, 6 μέρες, για κοντά $30,000 χωρίς φαγητά. Η αστυνομία μας έχει νοικιάσει για 5,5 μέρες με $24,000 αυτό το μήνα, και έχουμε και $5,000 ένα ενίκιο το Σαββάτο τον Απρίλιο, χωρίς τα άλλα. Όπως έχουμε κάνει budget το κτίριο για αυτή τη χρονιά, αυτό το κτίριο μιλάμε για αυτή τη χρονιά, αυτό το κτίριο θα μας αφήσει μετά.
Okay. Εντάξει. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Καλησπέρα. Ο κύριος Σπύρος είπε ότι αυτό είναι σαν μαγαζί. Στο μαγαζί για να πας αγοράζεις κάτι και πληρώνεις. Εδώ πολλοί νομίζουν ότι η κοινότητα δεν προσφέρει αυτά που πρέπει να τους προσφέρει. Και αυτά είναι από ανθρώπους που έχω μιλήσει. Εγώ νομίζω ότι ενστέτ να ρωτάμε τους ανθρώπους να δώσουν λεφτά, μήπως πρέπει να κάνουμε fundraising. Ένα λαχνό, ένα κάτι, αλλά σαν νομίζει ο άλλος ότι αγοράζω κάτι. Ενστέτ να τους λες συνέχεια δώσε μας λεφτά. Νομίζουν ότι οι ίδιοι και οι ίδιοι δίνουν πάντα λεφτά και οι άλλοι έρχονται, χρησιμοποιούν τα facilities με δίχως να πληρώνουν τίποτα. Και δεν νομίζω ότι είναι fair. Και λέμε μετά εντάξει, η εκκλησία είναι, δεν μπορούμε να τους πούμε μην έρχεσαι στην εκκλησία. Το καταλαβαίνω. Αλλά και ο άλλος που πρέπει να πληρώνει συνέχεια για να έρχεσαι εσύ όποτε στην εκκλησία δεν είναι σωστό. Ευχαριστώ.
I wish we could raise $370,000 with fundraisers. I don't want to say it like to shame anyone. We wanted to do a concert, Pablo, to raise money for the community. We sold about 20 tickets. So we're trying. Or 50?
55.
30 became more members.
Thank you.
So we're trying. But right now we're trying to catch up. And unless we can do a
Το
370,000.
fundraising που είχαν κάνει προηγούμενοι, που είχαν πουλήσει κάτι λαχνούς αυτό, είχε κάνει το ράφο, τι ήταν.
Το ράφο.
Ναι, είχε κάνει
Το κάνανε στα παιδιά εδώ, τα ίδια παιδιά αυτά.
Out of 1,000 tickets, we wanted to try and sell 1,000 tickets. That would have netted us $95,000.
Είναι καλύτερα όμως από τίποτα.
We only sold 400.
We only saw 400 from 1,000. Αυτή είναι το ενδιαφέρον που
Ναι,
έχουμε.
γιατί είναι οι ίδιοι άνθρωποι που βοηθάνε σε ό,τι και να κάνουν. Λοιπόν, πάνε να πει ότι δεν χρειάζεται την κοινότητα. Δεν τη θέλουν.
Θα την κλείσουμε.
Άμα πεις θα την κλείσεις, μπορεί να παρουσιαστούν.
Ίσως.
Το θέμα δεν είναι να κάνουμε λαχνούς. Το θέμα είναι ότι είμαστε σε πρόβλημα, έτσι δεν είναι. Θέλω να ξέρω τι ποσό χρειαζόμεθα.
Αυτή τη στιγμή χρειαζόμαστε περίπου...
Όχι μηνιαίο, το αναγκαίο ποσό που...
Το αναγκαίο ποσό που θέλουμε σήμερα, όχι σήμερα, το αναγκαίο ποσό που χρειαζόμαστε ή με δωρεές ή με δάνειο...
Ποσό, συνολικό ποσό.
360.000
Λοιπόν, είναι
και παραπάνω. 360.000 για το ταβάνι και έχουμε άλλες περίπου 250.000
So, μιλάμε περίπου... Μισό εκατομμύριο. Είναι ντροπή μας και απευθύνομαι σε όλους, it's a shame of us that out of 6,000 Greeks, I will say 6,000 in Ottawa, let's say we take 400 of them donating $1,000, and I'm sure most of us are able to donate 1,000, and maybe some more. So I don't know the big deal that everybody's talking το μεγαζί και το banquet hall. That's irrelevant. That's my point.
Το πρόβλημα είναι, όπως είπαμε νωρίτερα, ότι είναι μερικοί άνθρωποι οι οποίοι δίνουν με το παραπάνω.
Αυτό το ξέρω, Αντώνη, αλλά λέω ότι...
Εάν όλοι δίνανε όπως λες και έχεις δίκιο 100% δίκιο, δεν πρέπει να είναι δύσκολο ως κοινότητα να μαζέψουμε 400.000-500.000 δολάρια. Το πρόβλημα είναι ότι δεν τα μαζεύουμε.
Αντώνη, το καταλαβαίνω αυτό, αλλά προς το παρόν λέω, εάν όλοι βάλουμε, όπως είπε και ο παπάς, το χέρι στην καρδιά, το ένα χέρι και το άλλο στην τσέπη, όσο βαθιά μπορούμε, αλλά μετά στο μέλλον, going forward, how are you going to sustain this community? So it means that you have to raise your membership. In St. Louis, they pay $600, the lowest. So, όπως είπε και ο Σπύρος, το οποίο είναι έξω από το θέμα που μιλάμε, $100 για το ελληνικό σχολείο και το χορευτικό άλλα 150, πόσο είναι. Το έχω πει πολλές φορές. Κάντε μία αριθμητική να δεις πόσες ώρες βάζει στο σχολείο, τους έρχεται δηλαδή $1,5 την ώρα να διδάξει το παιδί του και πληρώνει για μπαλέτο ή για κάπου αλλού $50 την ώρα. για το ελληνικό σχολείο να κρατήσει την κουλτούρα του, δεν θέλει να πληρώσει $500. Ευχαριστώ.
Απόλυτο δίκιο και γι' αυτό είπαμε ότι όλα αυτά τα θέματα που είπες τώρα, Νίκο, για συνδρομές και για άλλα πράγματα, θα πρέπει να αναφερθούν σε γενική συνέλευση. Θα πρέπει να αναφερθούν διότι εμείς ως Συμβούλιο έχουμε το δικαίωμα να ανεβάσουμε, έχουμε το δικαίωμα να πούμε σε γενική συνέλευση ότι θέλουμε να βάλουμε τη συνδρομή $500 το χρόνο που λέω, $1,000, ό,τι αποφασίσουμε. Πλην όμως ότι η Γενική Συνέλευση πρέπει να πάρει την απόφαση και να το ψηφίσει. Και όπως είπα όταν μίλησα, στην επόμενη Γενική Συνέλευση θα το φέρουμε μπροστά. Θα αποφασίσουμε ένα ποσοστό και θα το φέρουμε μπροστά στη Γενική Συνέλευση.
Συγγνώμη που επεμβαίνω πάλι. Ναι, αλλά somehow you have to do a budget. Τι είναι the running expenses, Αντώνη μου, μόνο τα πάγια και μετά να πεις, παιδιά, για να βγει αυτή η κοινότητα θέλουμε 400 από το κάθε μέλος.
Like Alexis said, the treasurer said, όπως είπε ο Alexis, και κάνουμε τα budgets τώρα, τα κάνουμε line by line και τα budgets θα είναι έτοιμα, πιστεύω, τέλη Μαρτίου, αρχές Απριλίου το αργότερο, για να τα στείλουμε στα μέλη της κοινότητας.
Και κάποια άλλη συμβολή να σας δώσω. Στα παλιά χρόνια υπήρχε η Επιτροπή του Εράνου.
Ποια επιτροπή, συγγνώμη?
Fundraising committee. We used to go around to different business, different individuals. You approach them one-to-one basis. Talk to them. Μπορεί να φιλοτιμηθούν και να δώσουν. Πολλοί δεν έρχονται. Αλλά αν πάει κάποιος ή 3 άτομα με μια επιτροπή να πάει γύρω να τους μιλήσει, μπορεί να δώσουν, ρε παιδιά.
Εάν θέλεις να αρχίσεις αυτή την επιτροπή, εμείς προσωπικώς,
Μου φαίνεται έχω κάνει αρκετά για την κοινότητα.
Και εμείς ως Συμβούλιο, δυστυχώς δεν έχουμε τις ώρες να κάνουμε αυτό. Δυστυχώς.
Dimitri Sergi, I just have some questions. So your ask of the community today is to... I just want to better understand plan and timing. Your ask is, it's a cash call. You want the members to support you. The amount that you're talking about is $500,000. What's the amount that you're looking for? Just to be clear.
For the roof, it's about $300,000.
No, but to sustain the community. So you're asking for $500,000. Do you have,
To clear the line of
okay.
credit.
And when do you need, and by when? By when? Like timing? Tomorrow, 3 weeks, a month?
I can tell you tomorrow, it's not going to happen by tomorrow.
I'm asking.
The roof itself, we're against the thaw.
Yeah.
Right, so we're against the thaw. Right now, we've done some remedial work, we patched. The line of credit's a different story. The $370,000.
Sorry, Alex, I'm not, there's logistics there that you're talking about. I think people need to understand the big goal here. The goal is that you need $500,000 and you need it by when? And that's what you need to. Okay. So what you need is $500,000. You need the members to come up with $500,000. You need it as soon as possible, and that's the plan. And then you're going to go back to the bank with an amount of money, right? And tell them that our members have put this up. You're going to clear some of the line of credit. You're going to be able to repair the roof, and then obviously you're doing budgets to make the business go on.
Our hope, but my personal hope is that we will not have to go to the bank. I hope that that's not unrealistic. Realistically speaking, we probably will have to go to the bank because the roofing is going to have to start by the latest the first week in April, Alex. So whether as a community, I don't believe that, well, I hope I'm wrong, but as a community raising that kind of money in that short period of time is probably not doable. However, it would be nice to have a substantial amount of money raised in order to be able to.
What does that mean? Like
I can't give you.
Okay, but you've got 100 people in the room today. The word's going to get out.
There's machines at the table there, as I said earlier. Anybody that wants to give, they can give online. They can use their smartphones, their laptops, their tablets. There's ladies sitting there with 3 or 4 machines that people can go and give tonight.
I just wanted to understand the plan. The plan is raise $500,000 within the next 3 weeks.
The goal is to raise $500,000 within the next 3 weeks.
Thank you.
I just have another question to Alex about the roof. I'm sure the roofing companies, they can take 3 payments type of a thing. I don't think they want the money down. You can.
I've had the conversation.
No, I mean depends the company.
Most of them, it's a various payment schedule. Some, will take 10% up front. Some will take 20.
Exactly.
Some won't need the rest until it's done, which will probably take a month. Let's say the work 6 weeks. So yes, you don't
And personally, I think it depends which company you use. With some influence, with some people that we know in the community, if they know them, we can kind of drag it for 6 months. You know what I'm saying, right?
Well,
Let's not go there.
we'll do our best.
So if there are no more questions, I think I just want to thank the panel for
Είπατε ότι όταν ανεβήκαν τα interest rates, and based on our bylaws, δεν καλέσατε General Assembly.
No, no.
Okay,
No,
ήταν financial issue που έπρεπε να ξέρουμε όλοι.
No, αυτό που είπε, this has nothing to do, αυτό δεν έχει τίποτα να κάνει με γενική συνέλευση. Alexi, you want to take this one? Did you understand the question?
I was just saying, some nights like these, I wish I didn't.
Okay, so there's a first of all, kind of diversify.
Όταν τα interest rates ανεβήκαν, based on our bylaw, an assembly was not required.
No, there's no assembly required. Όταν ανεβαίνουν τα interest rates, δεν χρειάζεται να πάμε σε γενική συνέλευση να πούμε στον κόσμο ότι ανεβήκανε. Αυτό που είπαμε είναι ότι πριν από 10 χρόνια έγινε renegotiate το mortgage και δεν έγινε γενική συνέλευση, αλλά είπαμε και πάλι ότι δεν χρειαζόταν γενική συνέλευση για να γίνει αυτό, διότι δεν δώσανε security σε άλλα κτίρια εκτός από τα δύο κτίρια που ήταν secure τότε. Δεν είπαμε ότι χρειάζεται να πάμε σε General Assembly. Εγώ είπα ότι το σωστό πράγμα για μένα θα ήταν να πάμε σε General Assembly. Δεν είπα ότι χρειαζόταν να πάμε, αλλά αυτά είναι πράγματα που γίνανε πριν από 10 χρόνια και είναι περασμένα ξεχασμένα. Εδώ μιλάμε για σήμερα.
Chris Panteras. I'm just wondering what the plan is for tomorrow. And what I mean by that is, you have a room with people here that are interested in listening and helping. But as you said, there's a lot of people that are not here. So what is your plan tomorrow to communicate to the masses and mobilize everyone else? Is there an email that's going to go out and tell people we need $300,000, please donate monthly or right now, this is our goal? Because sure, we can go out and speak to people, but a lot of people are on your email list. So will you communicate to the rest of the membership and just be, you talked about transparency, just say it. We need $300,000 in an email. We need it by this date. What's the plan to let everyone else know?
The plan is there definitely will be an email going out to everybody. The further plan, I believe Father Alex and I have talked about this, is sending out a letter to people. Father, maybe you can expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly as you said.
We're planning on sending out a letter by mail to everybody. As a matter of fact, when we called this town hall tonight, we wanted to make sure that everybody that wasn't within reach of email, όλοι που δεν είχαν emails, στείλανε γράμματα ταχυδρομικώς σε περίπου 220 άτομα. Για να σιγουρευτούμε ότι και αυτά τα άτομα που δεν είχαν emails, that those people that do not subscribe to our email systems also received those letters in the mail so that they understood the severity of tonight's situation and would hopefully attend. So yes, there will be an e-blast going out. Yes, there will be a letter going out, a letter jointly by Father Alex and myself. There will be a return envelope in that letter, asking for everybody's pledge and everybody's donation. That's the plan. Does that answer your question, Lisa?
Yeah.
Great. And from what Alexander is telling me, there's also about 120 people viewing our presentation tonight on YouTube. So that's another, over and above the people that are sitting here in this room, we have another 100 people that either could not make it tonight because they can't get out or are out of the country and are watching it on YouTube and are listening to everything that we're saying.
Great. I think νομίζω θα συμφωνήσετε όλοι ότι έχουμε μια πολύ καλύτερη εικόνα απόψε για την κατάσταση, η οικονομική κατάσταση της κοινότητάς μας. I just want to thank the panelists for their direct and clarifying presentations tonight, and I want to also thank you all for coming, and I hope that we can do whatever we can for our community.
We'll be around for some time yet. Θα είμαστε εδώ, θα φεύγουμε εδώ, θα είμαστε για λίγο καιρό ακόμα. Οι γυναίκες στη γωνία κάθονται και σας περιμένουν αν θέλετε να δώσετε τις δωρεάς σας απόψε. Και αν έχετε ερωτήσεις που θέλετε να μας κάνετε μετά που θα τελειώσουμε τη συγκέντρωση, εδώ θα είμαστε.
Can I just interrupt you for a moment?
Sure.
Some over 25 years ago, we had the same problem. Maybe Terry remembers that. Terry Patiera. We had a problem. And at that time, maybe it was around $200,000. And what we did, we asked the people, I hope tonight, maybe, we'll just go and put down $1,000. But back then, what we did, we said, give us $1,000, and in good times, we'll give it back to you. And a lot of that money was returned to the community. Maybe you can suggest that.
If that's what this community is coming to, Dimitri, in today's circumstances, with everything that we've just talked about tonight, if that's what we need to do to entice people, sorry, I'm not interested.
All right, that's fine.
I have to be very honest with you. I'm not spending 20, 30, 40 hours a week for the last 6+ years of these guys here coming on board, only to hear that we're going to borrow money from our community members and pay it back. Either we support our community or we don't support our community.
I hope we all support it and we get out of this.
And I hope you understand that.
I understand, but we had the same problem once before, that's why.
Thank you.
Any other questions? As the president said, he's ready to.
Sorry, Maria Tsarukas. I just have a question around the individuals that are not members of our community. Is there a plan that you can reach out to those people and explain to them the situation and see if they could become members or can provide a donation?
We have about 1,100 names on our email list, and we have several. I assume we have addresses of people still that we can send letters and the like to. People that are not members may want to become members, maybe they don't want to become members. We're going to reach out to as many people as we can, but short of that, I really don't know what to say. If any of you sitting here tonight, άμα είναι άνθρωποι εδώ απόψε που ξέρουν ανθρωπιοποιεί, δεν είναι μέρος της κοινότητας, σας παρακαλώ, μιλάτε τους. Μιλάτε στα αδέρφια σας, στα ξαδέρφια σας, στους φίλους σας, talk to your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your friends. Ask them to become members of the community because one day, as Father has said, they're going to come knocking on the door because they're going to need to see Father for one reason or another. Somebody's very sick, there's been a death in the family, whatever. Father still rushes to their aid, but it's not fair for the rest of us sitting in this room here, and it's not fair for the members of the community that contribute to have this church, to have this community, to have Father running for people that are not.
I just got one thing. I've said it at other General Assembly meetings recently. It's George Chigaris. I've said at other General Assembly meetings, we should not only say give what you can and give more, just give a target. And we sort of played around that. And I'm not saying a target to fix this issue, just your general budget, what it costs to run the community. And it's somewhere, I think, in December, I think we said like $1,200 or whatever per paid family or whatever. That's what it costs to run if we want to run it based on what it costs and not on fundraisers or whatever.
The quick response is that, Alexi, we're finalizing it as an executive by the end of March.
Right.
Sent out to everyone like we mentioned in the last General Assembly.
Yeah.
We've just really vetted it and gone through it to make sure, I remember because I always refer to your comment, when we come back, we're not coming back multiple times.
Yeah, just say what it is because
the problem with a situation like this is if we adjust everyone's membership requirements because we need $370,000 immediately, it's not,
Yeah, I don't want people thinking, okay, let's pay off the 370 or the 580 or whatever it adds up to. It's what it takes to run this community. So let's give a target because a lot of people, obviously, like we said, can't afford that, but there's a lot that can easily afford 1,000 or 2,000 or 3 or whatever, right? So
just so everybody understands, because I don't think Alex touched on this, and if you did, Alex, please let me know. This is the tip of the iceberg here. We've got $250,000 to $300,000 in rooftop HVAC units that are going to need to be replaced within the next 2 years.
Yeah.
We've got a boiler system in the basement that has another 2 or 3 years left on it, and God knows what else. This is the start. This is not the end, so we need to continue giving, and we need to continue supporting. And as I said earlier, and as Father said, our Gold Plate Dinner and our Greek Fest should be the monies that are left over in order to be able to do some of the things we need to do, as opposed to having a meeting like tonight. And this meeting tonight, and the members of our community, current and new members of our community possibly, should be supporting our community so that the Greek Fest and Gold Plate monies can be used where they need to be used, and hopefully we'll never have to have another meeting like this tonight.
Yeah, and like what I think you were saying, Alex, putting in I think you said 400 a month or whatever to replace the roof in 15 years. We should be doing that for the roof, for the HVAC system. That's the way we handle, well, some people, their budgets at home even.
The truth is that for the last 10 years, and Alex did touch on this, for the last 10 years, due to the lack of financial capabilities and abilities, we've allowed our buildings to disintegrate, to fall into a state of disrepair.
Yeah.
We cannot allow that to continue because we're starting to pay the piper now. And as I just said, we're going to pay the piper moving forward for the next 5, 6, 7 years. The caveat being, and the good thing is that with this new roof, if we put aside the money that Alex, which is a minimal amount, the money that Alex said on a monthly basis, we won't ever have this problem again.
Yeah. So if we get that, when we get that budget, and I know you're working on it, if that includes long-term maintenance, that should be our target, not to say, okay, now something else is going to happen. We'll have another emergency. We plan for it, like we all do at home. Thanks.
Antonio Panteras. I just want to build on that. I think 300,000 shouldn't be the number. There's a lot of deferred maintenance, as you said, Tony, for different reasons. I think we should aim high, $1 million, tell the people what for. We may even need a new elevator. That's expensive too. So I think you should put all of them down. And what is, sort of priority, and now the 300,000. But I think whatever that number is, if it's $1 million or 800, I think we should inform the people, members and non-members, about what we need to do to bring our portfolio. Let's call our portfolio in church. Sorry, with no any disrespect, Father, to up to par. So that's just a suggestion on that front. That's all. So think of that number. I think we should aim high. Thank you.
If you can write that down, maybe Alex, you can start working on putting something together maybe for the next general assembly.
I'd like to to remind you, να σας θυμίσω ότι αυτό το κτίριο χτίστηκε σχεδόν πριν από 40 χρόνια. Okay? So the roof που είναι πάνω εδώ είναι περίπου 40 χρονών. Τα roof που βάζουμε τώρα στα κτίρια υπολογίζουμε θα αλλάξουν 25 χρόνια, maybe 20 χρόνια. Και χρειάζονται το extra work που σας έχουν εξηγήσει ότι χρειαστεί να χαλάμε τα λεφτά χωρίς τα rooftop units που λέει ο Τόνις, που είναι όλα ηλικιωμένα σαν και πολλοί από εμάς. So δεν είναι μόνο τα 400,000 για το roof. Ήμουνα μικρός όταν βοηθούσα και τα φτιάχναμε αυτά τα πράγματα, so ξέρω πόσο χρονών είναι. But I just want to dispel any myth for everybody in English. No one's going to take a payment plan for 6 months. These are private contractors. They're competing to give us the best price. They're paying for all their material, and they're paying for all their labor costs. And all those things are going up. So please don't think that some private company is going to be able to give the community a deal, no matter which contractors they work for or which member of the community they may be contractors for. So this money we need now. And, you almost have to do the entire roof.
We do have to do it.
No, there's a few small areas, but all I was trying to say, for some people that want to guess, you can't really not do it all because it's so old. Okay? Like there are different roofs in this place. There's 5 of them. But you almost have to do all 5.
Yeah.
You know?
The only roof that the consultant said you might have a few more years left in it is this backyard.
Yeah.
So the kitchen addition and
But the biggest leak is along the kitchen wall with the old, because up to this arch is the old building.
Yeah.
From that arch over, it's the new building, and the kitchen was added in the back.
Yeah.
So our biggest problem is where the roofs meet, the old roofs and the new roofs. Right. So there's no time, and it's not just the roof. Okay. So if you want to have buildings here to provide for the hall and to have a church, because the church has its own expenses and it has its own deferred maintenance. We do have those expenses. So it's nobody else is going to pay these things for us. You either have to decide that we have a community to provide services for the kids, the next generation, or we don't. It's very simple.
And it should be worded that way. We have to echo this person's sentiment. It should be worded that way. Because this place is in a real bad state of affairs. This place needs money. I don't know if $1 million is enough. I don't know if it's more than $1 million. But if you want the members to come up, you got to send a letter and immediately raise the bar now. Because we're going to lose this place. And if we lose this place, then only people will realize the detriment. So this is an important meeting, and you have to echo what all these other gentlemen and ladies said. And you have to press it hard to get the money you need.
Thank you. That's in short.
You can't leave here with debit machines and aspirations that you only need 350. Because my math says you may need more than $1 million just to cover 2023. Second plan, you got to get this hall back in business. This hall should generate $50,000 a week in revenue, $200,000 a month. Leave the gold plates and the festivals, because those are on a decline. They're old, like Ohid. They're tired. And you're not going to raise the revenue.
This is one of the reasons, probably the main reason why this meeting was called tonight. And I hate to use these words, but I am going to use them, and I hope that everybody that I'm speaking to understands these words. For lack of a better way of putting it, this meeting was meant to be a wake-up call.
Yeah,
because that's the only way that I can put it, and I'm sorry I had to call a meeting. I'm sorry I said it couldn't wait till the General Assembly, but the truth is these two issues needed to be addressed tonight. We needed to be forthcoming, we needed to be truthful, we needed to be transparent.
You got 6,000 Greeks. You got 6,000 Greeks. Somehow, some way you got to budget a number, forget membership fees, forget everything. And you got to raise real money, real time. Because if you don't, you're not going to have a very good meeting with the bank. And that everything just falls apart, whether it's structurally, whether it's everything else. Folks that have brought up this community 40, 50 years ago and did what they could do and to pass it on to future generations. So I believe whatever you did to bring us here was good on you, but I think you have to escalate it with a very strong letter. Each and every home, it's either we get together and save this community or we're going to lose the community. We get it here. Unfortunately, there isn't all 6,000 people here tonight, and there should be, because it's going to affect all of us. And whether we have to give the bishop for that business, or we have to give here and we have to support our structures, or the personnel we need. You need personnel in here. You need to go back. You got to find a structured team to generate revenue in here. In the old days, they had bingos every Friday. They had everything under the sun. And that brought the community where it stood on its own feet. Now, regardless of administrations and what went well and what went wrong, that's all irrelevant. In today's time, the new COVID times, money is the answer. And if you don't have money, you're not doing anything.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much for coming tonight. And like I said, we'll be around to answer any more questions if anybody has any. Thank you, and thank you very much to Vasily for facilitating this meeting tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you.